do something about it, as opposed to being like, I don't know why the hell I feel this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does it limit your sense of satisfaction in your career?
Completely. I feel like I use, I don't know, 30% of my brain, which is not entirely satisfactory. It's exhausting, actually. I'd rather use like most of my brain.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. It is more exhausting not to live up to your potential, I think, for people that like us. Yeah. Who else has a thought about where they need to be braver?
So I've recently had the aha moment that I am way more brave with strangers than I am with family, and way more brave even with colleagues. So for me, it's in those personal relationships.
Oh my gosh. I feel that deep in my soul. To have the tough conversations with family and close friends.
Mm-hmm.
Just gut-wrenching. Because they're gonna be around.
That's right. And it does come back to the trust factor that Carrie was talking about too. Like, do I trust that they're going to respond the way I need them to?
And what am I going to do if they don't?
Exactly. How am I going to react to that? Yep.
That's the uncertainty for me, is like, okay, if I put it out there and it doesn't get received well, now what am I going to do?
Yep, exactly.
Is the bitch of it. I was actually just journaling about this a couple of days ago, thinking about a personal relationship that I'm just starting to explore. And it's this balance of expectation meets uncertainty, where that to me is that space of vulnerability. What if my expectations are very different than their expectations? And that's not right or wrong, that just is, but it's still uncertainty. And how do you explore that without exposing your expectations? It's weird. Because I guarantee you, my mom's expectations of our relationship and mine are very, very different. And we on the struggle bus, y'all. And I keep saying to myself, I'm not responsible for my mom's happiness and well-being, but damn, she sure wants to put it there. It's hard.
Some of the best advice I got, I've spent many, many years in many Al-Anon rooms, just having grown up in an alcoholic home, and some of the coaching I got around that was like, it's none of your business how people take what you tell them. It's actually none of your business how they feel. It's none of your business, what their reaction is to your statement or to your message. As long as you bring your genuine self and the truth, forward, you let go of the outcome, and it's none of your business what happens after that point. And the idea like that helps me, for whatever reason, like, it's none of your business versus, oh, you shouldn't worry about it. To me, it made it a little more clear. Like, oh, yeah, it's none of my damn business. Okay. Speak your truth and get the hell out. Yeah. Which I say that, like, I know that's true. And I do believe that, but there's times where that's just really hard.
I made a commitment to myself after I went through a divorce and started my own business that I was never going to allow myself to stay in situations and relationships where I couldn't holistically be myself, where I never had to hide emotions to spare other people's feelings or stifle my own growth and creativity to make other people more comfortable. I just had some really important things to me that I thought, I got to take this forward, which sounds so sexy and good until you're in that moment of saying to yourself, but am I willing to proclaim what I want and who I am in the midst of these things? Am I willing to put myself out there and say, this is what matters to me, with that fear of being judged or the expectations might match up? I spent a long time being an over accommodator. at the same time I was making sure everything went really well, like Christy and I were talking about. That's how you over accommodate. I'm gonna over plan this party or this family gathering or this work project. I'm gonna over plan it and over accommodate so I don't have to worry about anything going wrong, any judgments, anything. And then to ask myself if I was willing to just be myself was kind of rough. I'm still struggling with it.
Well, and what Carrie said and what you said, Rebecca, is something I still struggle with. And that is sometimes I think how my perfectionism shows up is in my need to control. And to Carrie's point, like, I got to give that up. I can't control somebody's reaction, their emotion, any of that, right? At the end of the day, I want to control the whole scenario.
Yeah.
And planning and all of that. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Because I want them to be happy. And I think, well, what can I do to make them happy? But I can remember my ex-husband saying to me, I was planning a Christmas thing. We were hosting our first Christmas at our house. And it was like 2 a.m. and I'm looking for a certain Santa plate. And I'm ragey because I can't find this plate in the packed boxes in the garage. Ragey. And he was just like, you're the only one who gives a shit about it. Let it go. I was infuriated with that truth. I did not let it go.
Chris just said something that resonated with me when she said how your perfectionism shows up to other people. So, when I first read the being brave thing, it doesn't resonate that much with me because I usually speak my truth pretty often. Like I'm not overbearing with it, but I'm usually pretty open to communication in all parts of my life with everyone. And I'm pretty honest. But when she said how my perfectionism shows up, it made me think of literally last night on a call with, how we own the other business with my brother and sister-in-law. And we were on a call about taxes or something stupid. All kinds of stuff. And he said to me, at the end of the call, he's like, it's okay. Becky will text us 3 times tomorrow to make sure we remember to do it. And it just like hit me. Like, I was like, shut the hell up. And I laughed. And then later I was like, is that really what everyone thinks of me? It really is what everyone thinks of me. Like, I'm going to make sure that it gets done. But it was funny. And he didn't mean any harm by it, but it just like made me think, wow, I'm kind of annoying, huh? Right. I think.
Do you think his emotion was annoying or grateful?
He was probably grateful, but he was giving me a hard time about it. It was definitely from a place of giving me a hard time because I'm definitely always on them about getting stuff done. Yeah. Which they are great for, I'm sure, to keep things on track. But sure, I'm sure there was a place of a little like dig in there, right?
Well, when we moved into our house after the divorce, I had to sit down and have a conversation with my kids how things were going to be different because they were used to me making sure everything was perfect. And I no longer felt the need to do that because I did a lot of that with a coping mechanism for being in a really bad, challenging relationship, that the more perfect I can make things around us, the more comfortable that made me feel. And it was all fake and exhausting. But the kids were just like, we're not having dinner, and you're not going to like wrap those cute little presents for all the little things like you used to do. And like, did you know there's no food in the pantry and we've had pizza for 2 days? And they were just like, they did not like it, but they were just in shock because they were like, where's my mom? And what's happening? But the happier I became that I wasn't so stressed out trying to make things perfect, they started to appreciate it. They wish there was more food and snacks in the pantry, but then they all got their driver's license and had their own money. And I told them now they were in charge of snacks in the pantry. But it is weird about the expectations that other people have of you that kept me kind of trapped in it too. Like even when I wanted to pull away from the perfectionism, I felt like there were so many other people that had grown accustomed to it and needed it or appreciated it that it was hard for me to pull out as soon as I wanted to.
That's what I think resonates with me the most. So everyone's expectations of what I've always done for them, I don't want to let anyone down, even if And so now I think probably I'm now that like thinking about it in this terms, I'm probably have lost like what I really like doing and what I just do because I know I'm good at doing it.
That's big.
I'm not sure where the line is.
That's big. That's big, because you can get into that and get trapped in something you're good at that doesn't really, to me, I call the difference between striving and thriving. You can strive and achieve, but if it's not doing things that really feed your soul, you're not going to get a strong sense of satisfaction out of it long term.
Yeah.
Healthy striving is self-focused. Perfectionism is other focused. Focus on making yourself proud. What does that say to you? This is one I struggle with a little bit. It's what we just said, Becky, that, you know, we're other people's expectations, but the way it's worded, I always had to step out of it for a minute and go, what, hold on. Perfectionism is other focus, because I believe strongly that we're hardwired for community. That's what God intended us to do, is to serve each other. So this one, I have to be really careful with how I interpret it to get what it's gleaning out of it. Anybody else?
Well, I agree that one's a little hard for me too, because I think I believe this to my core. Now I'm questioning it, but feel like I believe to my core that I am actually more worried about others, and I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay because I feel like I do enough for myself. Like I love my life. I love myself. I love my family. Like I do things for myself, but I probably worry about others more than myself, and that's okay with me. I think I've never really, taken a deep dive at that. So that is hard for me too, because if perfectionism is focused on others, I tend to do that more often, and I feel okay about it. So it's hard to look at it as being a bad thing.
So how I've come to look at that a little bit is it's about what my motivation for the action is, because I was all about like, I'm going to serve others, and that was very natural. But then somebody challenged me to say, well, what's motivating you to do that? And am I doing it for personal recognition, or am I truly doing it for the other person? And I found myself, there were times where I was doing things for others, quote unquote, but I was doing it because I was looking for the recognition that came from it.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of crossed over. So it really made me go, and then that's when all of the stress and anxiety came in, versus the joy of serving, which I think is what Becky's talking about. There's just joy in doing that.
Mm-hmm. And I think about your situation, Becky, where you said, am I doing just what I've gotten good at and what others expect me to do? Or am I really doing what I'm good at and what I want to do? That's where I go with this one is, am I just fulfilling everybody's needs, or am I really being still long enough to know who I am and what I want? And then building a career that I can serve others from my own sense of self.
Which makes a lot of sense of what I'm going through anyways right now, what we've talked about with my career and stuff. So it does make sense, but I have not probably the statement sat still long enough to really dig into that, because it's good. Life's fine. Right.
Yeah. And you're at that stage where you're just busy picking up toys and trying to get to the next swim practice, and it's just go. It's hard to have that stillness time to really reflect on it.
Yeah.
Perfectionism hinders our ability to achieve. The fear of failure, making mistakes, not meeting expectations, or being criticized keeps us out of the arena. Choose being real over doing it right. Thoughts?
For me, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of, if I think about kind of where I am professionally right now within my specific organization and role and stuff, that's think that just, it really resonates with me and kind of where I am.
Yeah, the last conversation we had, I could see where that went. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
I think there's just a lot of good chunks in there. It's just hard to think through, just like all of this stuff. It's like, shit, like every single thing, it's okay, what's true to me, what's not. It's just
right
to actually implement. It's just a challenge. So that's what I'm sitting here trying to think through.
And that's your achiever mindset, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to spend an hour on this. I need to have some things that I take away from it. How am I going to apply it, right? And so you're looking for the linear version of action planning, and some of this may not apply at all to you, and some of it may apply in big ways. So it requires you to pull out what's going to help you move forward. Sarah, I know you've probably got 15 people in and out the whole time you're trying to listen to this. Any questions or thoughts that I can
No, I'm just enjoying seeing how this, or not enjoying, but how it relates to other people, and that I don't feel so alone in some of these statements.
Amen. That's honestly what the entire intent was for me in creating this, is so people didn't feel alone in some of the stuff they were struggling with. Sarah, have you had a chance to meet some of the people here? Because I haven't been on the last couple because I've been doing events and traveling. Have you jumped in on any before?
No, I think this is my first one.
Oh, well, yay. Would you just take a minute and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Sarah Zook from Drapery Street. We're a custom window coverings design firm in the Indiana Design Center. We work with homeowners, designers, and builders that have maybe some privacy issues or sun control issues and are worried about making a investment or a big purchase and wanting to make the right decision. So that's where they bring us in. I am the operations manager here. Been with the company about 3 years, and we are just on the up and up and rise, and I'm learning this industry new every single day, but it's been a really great ride so far.
I'm glad you're here. Chris, you'll appreciate this. So Sarah works for, she's working to be the integrator for their EOS model, and works for a very visionary leader. So,
well, I was going to say,
unique challenges.
I think Sarah, I've been at Home Artisans. Have you been at a Home Artisans event?
I have been at some Home Artisans events, yes.
Okay, I thought I recognized your name. So yeah, I've done some, I'm a member there, but I've also done some speaking for the group and done some EOS work with Karen and stuff. So yeah, welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is nice.
I love it when people have a connection. Makes me happy. All right, well, we're glad you're here. Okay, here's where we start going into action planning, Chrissy. Where are you most likely to get swallowed by perfectionism? And I think this one is the one where I finally, she sent me these the other day and I was going through them and kind of internalizing, and I thought, okay, so this one makes me feel better. I probably should have opened with it. We'll see. Because I don't feel like anymore that perfectionism overpowers me or hinders me or keeps me out of the arena like it used to. But there are certain places where I know I still need to consider its challenges. So it's not like a big blanket thing, but it's like there's certain areas. So where are you most likely to get swallowed by perfectionism? Anybody have an immediate? Oh yeah, I know where that one is.
I kind of said it earlier, and I'll just reiterate it because I'm at the lake with my in-laws right now. With family, perfectionism comes out. If I'm having especially any family over to my house, like everything has to be perfect and in its place, and I don't want anybody to worry or have to do work, and it is definitely an area I got to focus on.
I was going to say the same thing with Chris. It just reminded me of, it's more of who you're with and who you're surrounded by to be more likely than just, I don't know. That's just my belief.
Same. And maybe this is the connect. I just thought of this. Maybe this is the connecting piece to perfectionism is other focused. It just hit me. I was like, oh, well, because mine is, I'm okay that things aren't perfect anymore. But the minute like my mom comes over and she says, oh, did you know that your drywall's cracked? Or did you know that this like thing is, the minute she points out things that aren't, I lose my freaking mind. Or I'm okay that there's dog hair all over my kitchen floor, but the minute somebody else walks in, I panic and think I'm a loser. And I should have cleaned that up and not subjected them to that. So I'm just realizing that's the others focus piece that is big for me. What will people think when they know that I live in squalor of dog hair? How does perfectionism show up in your life?
I have that same thing. Except we have cat hair and not dog hair. Like, just like silly. Like, well, I mean, we do show our home. Like we have a model, like we live in a model home. It's the joy and neuroses of living with a custom home builder. So we do tend to show it, but then it makes me like, and so it always has to be like clean, but I do get a little goofy. Like it has to be
That's
perfect.
Interesting. That is probably fueling this for you because it's the way you live, literally.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Which, the flip side of it, like I feel very lucky because it's it's beautiful and it's nice to always have it like show ready. But then when it's not, that makes for an interesting like 4-hour scramble, trying to get shit done. And then it just feeds, because I can go into that little OCD reel in my head of like, the house isn't clean enough, and that it's just fuel for the fire.
Right. That's fascinating. I know you'd said that early on, but I'd forgotten about that. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Who else? How's it showing up in your life?
I know one of mine, if we're talking family related, it just made me think of, like, for example, when I get home every day, my Isaiah's cousin is our nanny. And right now it's just Adrian at home. The other 2 girls are at school, but like, I feel crazy sometimes. Like I'm so OCD because I walk in and like, I instantly can see where there are messes.
Mm-hmm.
My Mandy is the most amazing person on the face of the earth. So it's like, I have to control myself to like go start sweeping the floor or like picking something up. Cause I don't want to I feel like I always make her feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I didn't get that done. And then I'm like, no, don't be sorry. I'm psycho. And then I'm making excuses for for why I do that. And I really try not to do that. And it's really hard for me to not so that just made me think of the home thing. But then on the other side, I think like volunteering is a big thing for me. Sometimes I agree with Chris, like my extracurriculars, sometimes I just overdo myself because I want to help everyone all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So kind of shows up in a couple different places.
Yeah. You and Chris should lock arms and support each other on that. Yes. I used to have she's still my friend, but we just don't get together as often. She lives further away and she got married and stuff. But when I started undoing some of my perfectionism and letting my house be messier and it was after my divorce. Like I said, that was my keeping it all together was how I was trying to keep it all together. And when I stopped doing that, and she would come to my house and usually would stay the weekend because she lives pretty far away. She would come in my house and start cleaning before we would go do something. And she thought she was helping me. She thought it was like, I just couldn't keep up because I was going through so much, and that really wasn't it at all. I just didn't care about it as much anymore. And I finally had to have a conversation with her. I said, you make me feel bad when you do that. I'm okay that my house is kind of dirty and it didn't used to be, But when you come in and do that, it just makes me feel bad. And it was a hard conversation to have. And if I'm really honest, I didn't have it until it happened so often that our friendship was at risk because I was so pissed. But she really thought she was helping me. She was like, well, if we just spend an hour cleaning together, then we can go do whatever we want for the weekend and it'll be done. And I was like, I don't want to spend an hour cleaning together. Like, no. Oh, life is funny.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to what Becky said about I will come home and immediately and just start cleaning stuff, and it's just my OCD and just picking up after the kids and stuff, and then I realize it's really pulling me away from that time I should be spending with the kids versus me being over anal about toys being on the floor, that are really going to end up back there in 10 minutes. So why am I doing that?
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, that's a really good point. And I do find that like at least I feel like now I'm conscious of doing it. So I try to just put myself in the present and not like, because everything has to be picked up in order for us to go on with the rest of our evening or something, because that's unreasonable. So trying to work through that.
Mm-hmm.
I used to think it made me feel calmer. That was my justification. If I can just get it cleaned up, I'll feel calmer, and then I'll, enjoy whatever it was that I was going to be doing. But I learned that really what it just made me do was be exhausted. I was calmer for a minute, but then I was too tired to enjoy whatever it was that I was trying to hurry up and get it cleaned up before I went to do. All right. How will you remind yourself the goal is brave, not perfect? This is one of those where I find it to be more impactful rather than just set some kind of a trigger, like a task, to ask yourself, why does it matter? So some of the stuff that you said, Becky, that it makes your nanny feel bad that you're cleaning up after her. So that the relationship with her matters more than the floor is dirty, or something that is deeper than just a task that you're going to remind yourself to do. So how will you remind yourself the goal is brave, not perfect? Anybody have any thoughts on how you're going to carry this forward?
So could an I am, I was just going to say, can an I am statement be like, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Okay. Can an I am statement be like, I am brave, but like for me, brave looks like you don't need to be perfect. Like just that would remind myself, like, it's okay. Like, let it go. Like you don't have to come in. It's brave for me to come in and not do that than to come in and do that, because it's not making anyone's life better. I don't know. That's just how I guess I can look at it that way. Like that would take me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And that's something, I'm not just talking about cleaning up the house. I'm talking about anything, but.
That's a good flip. Yeah. Because we do get inspired for things that are hard. Oh, okay. Stop. She back. I like thinking about it that way, but that is the harder thing, which is more inspiring. Who else?
Interestingly, I think I'm going to have a conversation with my husband, because I think he and I spur each other on in this way. And so if I'm going to make a change, he's going to have to make a change too.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. How do you think he'll respond?
I think he will. I think he'll be fine with it. It will just be, how do we reinforce it in each other? And, and he's got to decide, like I've decided perfectionism isn't right for me anymore, right? He's got to decide that for himself too.
Yeah. You'll have to, whatever motivation that is for him, whether it's just to make your life better or something deeper for him, will be interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. How will you remind yourself the goal is brave, not perfect? I think that's the last one. Yeah. One of the things that I've found is the more I have put myself in uncomfortable situations to build this business, the easier it gets. Like anything else, whether it's working out or practicing anything, it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. I can remember when I first started my business, I used to just get so worked up about any little presentation or anything I was preparing for, that people wouldn't think I was smart or capable if it wasn't all together. And over, the last 3 or 4 years, what I realized is that's not true. I mean, I need to be prepared, to Christy's point earlier, like you need to show up. But one of my favorite things to do is give people grace when things don't go well for them. Like simple little things, like somebody shows up late for a meeting, Zoom or a coffee meeting, and you can tell they're just frenetically freaked out that they're late. And I love just being able to say, it makes me feel more human when you're late, because I've been late so many times that can we just be okay with it? And just to see their relief that they're not being held to a standard that they didn't meet feels really, really good. I don't know, maybe that's silly.
I totally get that. Or like when somebody's kid runs across the screen during a conference call, or a dog or a cat. I love that. It humanizes all of us.
Same. The things I used to worry about now, I think, I burned up a lot of energy on those that had zero return. All right, last couple minutes. Anybody else have something they want to commit to or ask us to hold you accountable to in terms of making some changes?
I think for me, like I want to kind of just think about that word, like brave. What does that look like? Like if I'm being brave in some situation, what does that look like? So I kind of want to put some thought into that, like in order to hold myself accountable, because I understand what the word means, but like, how will that play out, right? What is that? What's something I can do that's brave versus, trying to be perfect or not doing anything at all, right? I'm more apt to not do anything sometimes than to be like, well, I think brave, like inaction or just being quiet. I'll just be quiet. Like that's not brave. I mean, sometimes it can be, but so I kind of want to just think about that. Like, what does that mean for me?
I love that.
What does it look like?
Yeah, for you, right? It doesn't necessarily mean climbing Kilimanjaro or running a marathon.
Right.
It could be that you're just not going to say anything when the floor's dirty. That could be the bravest thing that you could do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I love that a lot. Anybody else? All right. I love these conversations. It's so good to be back. I feel like I've been gone for months. I guess I kind of have, between the event and vacation. So it feels good to be in your presence, ladies. Thanks for showing up and challenging each other and digging in. Good stuff. All right, so our next session is, wait for it. Man, my internet is so slow today. Anybody else? Holy schmoly. Wednesday, May 19th. So next Wednesday at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
All right. If you guys need anything, don't forget that every Friday is open office hours. I know Carrie and I are going to do some one-on-one stuff next Friday for part of that. But if you need anything, have discussions, you want to have one-on-one with me, just hit me up and we can do those on Fridays between 12 and 2.
Perfect.
Okay. Go enjoy this beautiful weather
Thank
if you're
you.
someplace to do so. Love you guys.
All right. Bye,
Good to see
ladies.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.